Hello everyone. Welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. Now some of you may remember that actually for the first time in the 6 years, almost 6 years that I've been doing these videos, about 3 months ago while I was in the Philippines, I did a video of how narcissists only get the worst of you. And if you haven't seen that video yet, definitely check it out. It's a live video. I was just watching it back a few minutes ago, and it's some really good information in there. And even watching it back now, it's very accurate. I'm sure many of you will resonate with it. So definitely check out that live video as well. Narcissists only get the worst of you. Now, I don't know if I can top that in this live video today because, it was highly descriptive and accurate, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. Let's see, hopefully by the end of this video, it will match that one I did 3 months ago as well. As you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about how narcissists actually do not get the best of you. And if you like the sound of that, please do give it a thumbs up down below. Hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I go live in the future. If you'd like to book a one-on-one, just go to my website. It's narcsurvivor.co.uk. So narcissists, they actually do not get the best of you. And I know how many of you must be feeling right now after dealing with a narcissist. Someone who's all about themselves. They're just all about taking from you and acting like you've given nothing to them. And as though they've given the world to you, they expect you to see it as a privilege just to even be around them, just to even be abused by them. You're meant to see that as a good thing for you. You're meant to be happy with it. And you're not meant to complain or criticize them. So I get how you must be feeling right now after dealing with one, or if you're still dealing with one now. You feel like you've been robbed. You've been robbed of your life. You've been robbed of your future. Of everything that you could have been. Everything that you could have done in your life. If you had never met this person, if you had never been around them, if they have never did the things that they did to you, then maybe you could have been so much more. You could have been so much happier. Things could have been a lot better for you. You feel like they robbed you of that. They robbed you of your life. They robbed you of your innocence. They stole your hopes and dreams, your future away from you. That's how it feels. You feel like you got a bad deal. So what you had, you could have gone and given that to someone else. Someone who would have given you something of equal value in return. But instead, no, you feel robbed because what you got from them was not worth what you gave to them. What you gave to them was far more valuable. And of course, at some level, they know that. That's why they feel so much shame, because they recognize what you've given away, you deserve so much more in return. For what they took from you. I mean, they took your life, they took your dreams, your future. You can't put a price on that. And how did they treat you in return for what you gave to them? They abused you. They harmed you. They wanted to take more. So of course, as I've mentioned in past live videos, they do feel a lot of shame and they will be haunted by their actions. But unfortunately, as Dr. Ramani has mentioned in her videos, they do follow a shame abuse cycle. So they feel a lot of shame as a result from robbing you and from doing all of the things that they've done to you. They feel a lot of shame from doing that. And as a defense against it, and to try and suppress the shame and to deflect it onto you, they have to continue abusing you. And that's why whenever you're around them, it's just constant shame. Like that's all you can ever feel when you're around them. And that's how you know that you're dealing with a narcissist. You've been abused by them. You're continuing to be abused by them, because it's just this constant shame, feeling unworthy, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like something is wrong with you. And I know how that feels. I know how it feels to be abused, mistreated by someone, and then you end up feeling like something's wrong with you. No. If there's anything wrong with you, it's that you were around them. That's the only thing that was wrong, because they did not deserve you. They mistreated you. They didn't treat you with the love and respect that you deserve. That's what was wrong. And that was not your fault. That was on them. And they knew exactly what they were doing. So while we may feel unworthy, we may feel shame, we may feel like we're not good enough, recognize that that shame belongs to them. Shame on them for what they did to us. And yet, as narcissists do, they want to shame you as a result of what they've done to you. Because they have this twisted mentality. That's why they see it that way. When really, no, it's shame on them. But I get it, I understand. You feel like you've been robbed. You feel like they got the best of you. But actually, I can tell you, they do not get the best of you. They only get the worst of you. They get the worst of what you have to offer. They do not get the loaf, they get the crumbs. And I know what some of you may be thinking. You may be thinking, hold on a minute. They didn't get the best of me. They got all of my time, all of the years of my life. Invested all of my money into them. I supported them. Maybe they divorced you. They took your house, they took your car, they took all your money, they took your children away. So you may be watching this and thinking, how on earth did they not get the best of me? But if you've watched my earlier live video from 3 months ago, of how I spoke about that they do only get the worst of you, you will know where I am about to go with this. Because you got to think about it like this. When you're dealing with a narcissist, the only way that they could get around you was to manipulate you. So they had to give you a false character. And they couldn't really build or grow with you by doing that, because they only have a false character. There's nothing real about them. They've got no power or energy to build anything. All they can do is take, and that's why it's only a matter of time until they begin devaluing you. They turn against you. Because while they may have taken something, now they want to take more, because they've got nothing to sustain themselves. And that's why they devalue you. They have to break you down. I just think about that. When you're breaking someone down, when you've got to have this power, authority, and control over them at all times, are you really getting the best out of them? Or would that person, if you didn't have that control over them, if you weren't breaking them down, would they not be a much better person? If they had their freedom, the freedom to grow? Of course they would, because then they're free to roam around and be who they want to be. So they're going to grow, they're going to develop, they're going to become something more. But you could not become something more around the narcissist, because they've got to have all of this power and control. They've got to break you down. They've got to turn you into a shell of yourself just for you to even be around them. So yes, they only get the worst of you, because they have to manipulate and control you. If they didn't do that, you would quickly come to your senses. You would recognize yourself and how wonderful you are. And then you would just wonder, what are you doing with them? Because they're not on your level. They're nowhere near as great as you. They're not capable of what you can do. But of course, what they do, as I mentioned earlier, is they deflect their shame, their feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness onto you. So then it keeps you running on this hamster wheel trying to please them. And not only are you trying to please someone who is unpleasable, but you're also trying to please someone who's actually beneath you. You're trying to make someone happy when they're not even as great as you. They're not even on your level. They're not even capable of doing the great things that you can do. And you're trying to please them. You're trying to make them happy. And yet you can't understand why they're never happy, why they never give you your props, why they never validate you, why they never give you closure. You constantly wonder why, when of course they're not going to do that, because then that means that you can stop, and then you're going to be there with your hands out expecting something in return from them. And that's why these narcissists, these manipulators, they intentionally hold back on validating you or giving you anything in return for the mountains of time, energy, effort, money, and resources that you have invested into them for that reason. Because they are extremely insecure. At some level, they recognize that they're no good. And that's why they typically hold back, and they just give you the lies, the future faking, the breadcrumbing, the bait and switch, the double binds, whatever tactic they've got to do to keep you on a leash, whatever they're going to do to keep you around, whatever they've got to do to keep you stuck. Because otherwise, it's like you're going to realize just how great you are. You're going to realize your power. And that's why they don't want you to have your freedom. They don't want to see you running free. They don't want to see you grow and becoming yourself. They don't want you to do that, because then it's going to be quite clear to you that you actually do not need them. You're actually far greater than them. You're actually far better off without them, and they're the ones who need you. And yes, they may act as though they don't need you. That's a part of their game. That's how they keep you around, because they understand how you think as an empath. When you think that there's something wrong, you've got to make it right. You can't sleep knowing that it's not right, knowing that someone is not happy with you. You've got to do something about it. I know, because as an empath myself, I'm the same way. I just can't rest knowing that someone is not happy with me, knowing that someone wants me to do more or be more. But then this is also how they keep you stuck, because how can you be more or do more for them when you're constantly under their control? So you're limited, you're restricted. But that's how they never get the best of you, because they are quite clearly incapable. They act very confident, but it never measures up with their actions. They're actually very incompetent. And they are the ones who want to control you. So of course, that's not going to go anywhere good. It's like they want to be the captain of the ship, but they've got no skills. They don't even know how to control the ship. And then when they crash it, then they want to jump off. It's like they want the power, but they do not want the accountability or to have to deal with the consequences, which is why if anything goes wrong, they'll just shift the blame onto you. They want to be the captain of the ship, but they do not want to go down with it. They'll be the captain just to have the power and control over it, just to have the power and control over you. But then when they fail, when they crash it, they're going to jump off and they'll just leave you on it. They'll leave you to drown, because they want the power without any responsibility, which is a recipe for disaster. It's not going to go anywhere good. And that's how when they get in relationships with us, it never does go anywhere good. For that reason, because narcissists are not meant to have power. People who are self-serving, people who are all about themselves, they're not meant to have any power at all. People who should have power are empaths. People who have the ability to go beyond themselves and consider the effect that they're going to have on other people. People who want the best for the other people. Those are the ones who should have the power. Whether it's in a relationship, a government, whatever it is. I mean, just look around at this world today. It's no surprise that everyone's miserable. It's no surprise that the two most common illnesses in the world are mental illnesses, anxiety and depression. It's no surprise that 1 in 6 people are narcissists, 1 in 10 people are psychopaths, 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths. It should be no surprise at all, because the people who are in power are not empaths, they're narcissists. Maybe some of them are psychopaths as well. So of course, it should be no surprise why the world is the way that it is. There should be no surprise that the world is like this. And it's the exact same thing in relationships with narcissists as well. It's the exact same thing with them, because they want to have all of the power over you, but then they're only in it for themselves. And of course, when someone gets into something and they're just all about themselves, it's all about what they can get, of course they're going to destroy it. Of course it's going to fall apart, because it takes 2 people to maintain it if there's 2 people involved in it. Otherwise, one person's going to get the short end of the stick, which was you. And it's been me as well so many times. It always happens to us as empaths. It always happens to the kindest, loving, most compassionate, helpful and generous people. They're the ones who always get the worst of it. Well, the narcissist, as we know, they want to be the captain of the ship, and then as soon as it crashes, they just jump off it and they leave you to drown. They leave you to deal with it. And then you're left to pick up the pieces on your own. That's how it goes with them. But they do get their karma for that as well. Not only do they not get the best of you, but they also get their karma. As I've spoken about in a past live video, I think this was about maybe 8 months ago. Actually, no, it was before that. It was sometime last year. It might have been in Taiwan. I did a video on how the narcissist will always be haunted by their actions. And I've actually done the research on this. I've studied this in depth. I spent hours and hours researching it to find that, yes, narcissists do get their karma. A lot of people don't actually speak about it, but I've studied the psychology, the science behind it, and it's true. They are haunted by their actions for the rest of their lives. Narcissists are shame-based people who are doing everything they can to avoid reflecting on their shame. Because they don't reflect on it, that causes it to perpetuate. If they did reflect on it, you would know. And that's how you know that wherever they do go, that shame, that trauma, that chaos, that pain, that's all going to follow them wherever they go. And I also found in my research that bullies are at a 10 to 25 times risk of developing a psychiatric condition than their own victims who they are intimidating and bullying, as well as many other things. So it does affect them. Not only do they not get the best of you, but they also never get the best out of themselves. They get the worst out of you, and then they move on to experience the worst from themselves and their lives. That's what I found in my research. And that's why I choose to do good. I choose to do the right thing wherever and whenever I can. Because I know that I will be rewarded for that. And this isn't just some woo-woo concept. I have actually done the research on the psychology behind it. So, yes, it is true. And that's why I do promote that people do good deeds whenever you can. And I do also have a cause on cure that I'm supporting for child sexual abuse. As you know, I am a victim of that myself. And I'd really appreciate it if you could support this cause. It's just down below, you will see where you're able to make a donation to it. Trying to get it to $1,000 by the end of the year. Together, we've already donated $1,000 to the children in Gaza. So, thanks to all of you and your support, your donations. Now, families in Gaza, with the war going on there, now they have received medical support. So we've already made a difference in this world. We've helped some of the people in this world who need it the most. And I thank you all for that. It's a great thing when we work together to improve people's lives. And now, supporting the cause of children who experience sexual abuse, that's another way that we can help, because 1 in 10 children will actually go through that. So it's not as uncommon as people think. And often it's by someone in their own family. So it could be a brother or sister, an aunt or uncle. Sometimes it can even be their own parents. So together we can make a difference for those children. But narcissists do not get the best of you. They do not, because they're manipulating and controlling you. They're always on you. They've got to break you down just to keep you around them, because otherwise it's like a caterpillar. You become a cocoon, and then you become a butterfly. You grow your wings, and then you can fly. Then you're free to do what you want to do and to become the best version of yourself. But that's the thing with these narcissists. They do not want you to fly. They do not want you to grow your wings, because then they fear that if you grow your wings, then you may just fly away from them. If you realize just how great you are, if you have the freedom to develop your qualities and abilities and to test your abilities, you're then going to realize your worth. It's going to boost your confidence and self-esteem. And that's the last thing they want to happen, because they have to keep you down. They have to keep you questioning yourself and thinking that there's something wrong with you, because that's how they keep you under control. That's how they manage your perceptions of them. By getting you to invest everything that you have into them, but then you're getting nothing back in return. So you feel like you're being robbed, you feel like you got a bad deal. You begin to feel shame, you begin to feel like that's all you're worthy and deserving of. So that's the process, that's how they do it. But by doing that, they're really just shooting themselves in the foot, because they only get the worst of you. They do not get the best of you. They only get the crumbs, they do not get the loaf. But then also, do they really want the best of you? I mean, yes, they may want your money. They may want a nice place for them to stay. They may want to go to nice places. But they're not interested in love. They're not interested in connection, positivity, peace. They don't even want that. They were traumatized in their childhood. They grew up around a lot of drama and chaos. They're accustomed to that. It's normal to them. So now in adulthood, they try to recreate that environment, only now they want to be on the other end of it. And that's why they will take any opportunity to start a fight with you, to argue with you, to cause problems, to make things difficult for you. Because that's what they like. That's their idea of fun. Their idea of fun is not having a good time with you. Their idea of fun is not having a good time with anyone. Yes, in the beginning, it may have seemed like that's what they wanted. It may have seemed like that's what they cared about, but they were just mirroring you. And even when they go off the new supply, they're just taking what they've learned from you, things that they probably never even thought of in that way. I mean, you got to think, these are people who have unmet emotional needs from their childhood. And you're showing them all of these things. You're trying to teach them about love, connection, respect, just basic human decency, things that they've never seen before. And they try to mirror that back to you until you realize that that's not really them. You figure them out. But then they can see how this can be attractive to other people. They can see that there is some power in that. So then they take it, they take bits and pieces of you, and then they use it to groom their new source. And it serves two purposes, where they also use it to groom the new source, but then they also use it to punish you, to make you think that the experience that you wanted with them, they can now have that with someone else, which it doesn't really make any sense. It only seems to make sense from an emotional standpoint when they're trying to trigger you, but logically, they are not you. They're pretending to be you, they're acting like you, but they're never going to be you, and they're never going to have your personal experience. That's impossible. Only you can be you. Only you can have your own personal experiences that resonate with you. No one else can have that. It's just manipulation. It plays on your emotions. So that's all that they're really doing, is they're grooming the new source, and they're also using it to punish you, to make you feel like you're missing out on something. But you're not missing out on anything. You're right there. You are you. You're having your own personal experience. No one else can take that away from you. They can steal everything else, but they can't steal your personal experience. That's only ever going to be yours. And of course, they may also be mad. They may be resentful that they couldn't get you to share that with them because, of course, they're fake. Everything they do is just manipulation. It's all an illusion. Many of you feel like you're missing out on something. You feel like you lost something good. They're not like what we're like. They're not. They like drama and chaos. They like to fight. That's why whenever they're around you, they're always arguing with you. They weren't initially, but the longer you're around them, the closest people to them get treated the worst. So that's why there's all of these fights with them, because that's what they like, that's what they're comfortable with. They got the worst of you because in some ways they actually want the worst of you. But as the quote from George Bernard Shaw states, never wrestle with a pig. You get dirty, and besides, the pig likes it. So instead, what you have to do is observe and don't absorb. Respond, don't react. Don't get into the mud with them. They're dirty, they're foul, they're immoral, but don't let them sling that mud on you. It's kind of like politics with the mudslinging. That's what it's like with these narcissists. They want to pull you into their mud. They want to inject you with their poison. It's like they stick a syringe into themselves first. They've got this narcissism disease, and then they want to inject it into you. And then you feel the way that they do. This is how it is. Emotions are contagious, so make sure you're around people who feel good, people who are happy, positive, optimistic, people who see the best in you, not people who want the worst out of you. People like that are no good. They want the worst out of you because they're already on that frequency themselves. They can only get the worst out of themselves. But I hope I'm getting the best out of you in this video. I hope that I'm motivating you. I hope I'm making you feel more optimistic about what you've been dealing with a narcissist. Because I know what it's like. I know how they can just make you feel so bad about yourself. They can make you feel like you're no good and just hopeless, like nothing's ever going to get better for you. But these are all projections. They know nothing's going to get better for them. Because just look at them, they're so miserable. They're never happy, they're never satisfied with anything you do for them. They're never going to heal. They're never going to be better, so why would they want you to be better? It's just going to remind them that they're no good. And that's what this is about. They've got to construct this false reality, this false narrative to make you out to be something just so that they can feel better about themselves. The narcissist doesn't really care about you. It's all about themselves. They live in a world inside their heads with a population of one. So all they're ever thinking about is, how can you make them look good in front of other people? How can you improve their social standing, their social status? How can you bring them up the social ladder? Or how can you make them feel better about themselves? How can you make them feel powerful, important, special, desirable, attractive? It's only ever all about them. And even outside of narcissists, this is the case as well. Most people in this world, other than empaths, of course, they're not really together. Like, if you really study the psychology behind it, none of us are actually together as one. We're never really bonding because you don't know what someone else is feeling or what's going on in their minds. You can't feel their feelings or share their perspective as if it was your own, unless, of course, you are an empath. And that's how most people in this world they're all in their own separate little worlds in their heads. And everything outside it's all based on agreeance. So people have to agree with it. They just have to be on the same page. But if you've ever met another empath, it's like telepathy. It really is. It's like for the first time in your life, it's not two people who are in two separate worlds. It's like two people who are in one world together, where you're actually sharing the same experience. You're sharing the same feelings. And that is a very powerful experience. It really is. And you may find that you can have this experience with children and animals as well. Because what this is really about your vibration, your frequency. When people are in the lower vibrations, whether it's pride, desire, fear, guilt, shame, that's more about separation. But then at the same time, elevation also requires separation. And then when you move up the frequencies, but then I should expand on that as well. Elevation requires separation because you've got to separate from people of the lower vibrations. And then you move up the frequencies, you align with people who are more on your level. And then when you move to the frequency of love, then it's like you're in the same world. And of course you would be in the same world because the emotional vibrational frequency of love is just one frequency above acceptance. So you're accepting each other, and it's like that, those separate worlds become one. It's a very powerful experience. But I believe that that can only exist between two empaths, because only empaths can really feel what you feel. It may seem like the narcissist can feel what you feel, but actually they do not have an effective empathy. And that's why they don't care about love, intimacy, affection. For them, it's more about cognition. And it's more about cognition because they're predators. They're high in cognitive empathy. So they can read into your emotions, but separate from them as they're like an outside observer of it. Almost like they're just watching a movie, they can detach from it. They're not actively involved. It's very different to two empaths being together because you're both in it together. You're both in the same world. And I guess that's another way that they do not get the best of you, because they never really know you. That's just it. I mean, most people in this world, they never truly know each other. I mean, yeah, they can talk to you, they can see you on the outside, and they can ask you questions, but they never really know you. They never really know the contents of your mind. They can never really share your feelings. Maybe that's why so many people in this world today, they feel so alone. Maybe that's why the two most common illnesses in the world are mental illnesses, anxiety and depression. Because maybe we are meant to be together, maybe we are meant to feel what each other feels and share each other's experience. But unfortunately, that is very rare in the world today. And only 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths. But I am convinced that many of you who are watching this video may be empaths. And I'm sure you may identify with that as well. And it makes sense because you are watching an empath, you have an interest in what an empath has to say. And I do believe that like attracts like, water seeks its own level, birds of a feather flock together. I do believe in those sayings. Let me just take a sip of water. My throat is getting a bit dry. You know, when I first started making these videos, I would find that it's like my throat, my voice muscles would get tired very easily. And I couldn't talk for a long time. Even just speaking consistently over maybe 5 or 10 minutes, that I'd already feel like I have to take a break. And I guess that makes sense because no one really cared about what I had to say. So I was never exercising those throat muscles. And that's why initially I felt like I had so much difficulty with speaking. Because no one in my life ever really cared about what I had to say other than maybe just a few close friends that I had throughout the years. So I just kind of never really talked. But people really don't want to hear what you have to say if you are a truth teller. If they've scapegoated you, they don't really want to know because you're likely not going to have too much good to say about them. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And now I can quite easily speak for 1 hour on a live video. And I don't feel any pressure on the muscles in my throat. And then also sometimes I'm recording the pre-recorded videos in the morning as well. I don't think I've shown the city in the daytime. So here we go. Yeah, I know. It doesn't feel good when you've been around these narcissists and they've drained you, they've depleted you. You feel like you've been robbed. You feel like you've been given a bad deal. As though you could have taken what you had and given it to someone else, and they would have appreciated it more. They would have reciprocated back something of equal value. I get that, I understand. But they had to have that power and control over you. You couldn't just roam free. You couldn't be yourself. So you couldn't grow. which means that they did not get the best of you. It's kind of like a child who has the freedom to just run wild and play and explore. But then you see a lot of people these days and it's like they're working 8-9 hours a day. It's just so boring, so dull, they're just tired of life. And you can quite clearly see you're not going to get the best of them. It's like the best of them died a long time ago. It's like they had it beaten out of them. And that's really sad. I really feel for those people. I have a lot of compassion for them. It's really sad the way the world is. How it really just beats the life out of people. It really does. It's like you've got to work all day for like 9 hours, and for what? For like minimum wage. And then you come back home at the end of the day, it's like, what have you got left to give to your children, to your partner? But I guess the world, the government doesn't care about that. But for me, that's what's important to me. I believe that love is all that we need. And that's why I try to love everyone and everything. I just try to love this world that we are in. I think that this world needs more love. But although a lot of people may be going through some things, be very careful, maybe don't get too close, love them from afar, because it's kind of like a cat that's been hurt. If you see a stray cat on the road, you don't want to get too close because it might scratch you. And it's like that with a lot of people these days. If you get too close to them, they might hurt you because they're traumatized, they've been hurt. Whereas if you see a small innocent child, it's typically not like that with them. It's like they just want to play, they just want to have fun. But then throughout our lives, some of us, we just get that beaten out of us. Can we get it back? I don't know. But for myself, I know that I haven't lost that. As I said in last night's video, I've still got that childlike wonder about myself, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. I'm always going to be that way. No matter what anyone does or says to me, they're never going to take that away from me. I'm always going to have that. I'm always going to want to share my love with people who can appreciate it. I just opened up the live chat. Gonna have a little read at the comments here. I see we've got 148 live viewers. If you've been enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up down below. Thank you. Eric G says Dubai. Yes, it's Dubai. Look, there's the Burj Khalifa right over there. No, of course not. This is not Dubai. It's just a very small city. But I like it, you know, it's got some character. I like the colours of the building. It looks very elegant to me. Lorraine Dan says, love and compassion. The narc has neither to give. Yeah, you're definitely not going to get any love from them. They're operating at a low vibration. They're shame-based. The best you might get out of a narcissist is maybe a false sense of pride. But even then, you have to let them just walk around like their poop doesn't stink, blow their own trumpet, toot their own horn, and even then you don't get anything out of it. Blessed Butterfly says, if you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. I get that, and I agree in some ways. Maybe it's not too good to be too attached to this world, especially the way in which the world is going today. With all the nightclubs, the drugs, the alcohol. I don't like to get involved with that. But also, I would say that it's good to love the world, because is this world not a part of our Creator? Remember, God created this world, and also we're a part of this world. So if we do not love the world, then how can we love ourselves? And if we do not love ourselves, then how can we love our Creator? Because our Creator created us, and surely we should love His creations if we love Him. That's just how I see it. But also I see your point of view as well. It's not good to be too attached to this world. Recognize that we're not going to be here forever. Calathina says, the smear campaign really drained me, bro. So sorry to hear that, Calathina. I know these smear campaigns can be tough, but you just gotta think about it like this. I mean, it's always like that. It's like you look at these people who run these campaigns and you think, like they got the best of you, like things are good, so good for them now, and you're missing out, things are bad for you. But actually no, because think about, what state of mind have you got to be in to want to run a smear campaign on someone? I mean, you got to feel like crap to want to do that. Like for me, I'm more about spreading love and positivity, because I feel good about myself. So that's how you know that these people who do this, They're not satisfied with themselves, they're not satisfied with their lives. They're just not happy at all. So I hope that brings some comfort to you, Calathina, because it's the truth. How a person treats you is a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves, as within, so without. Lorraine Diane says they believe they can sweep the abuse they gave to us under the rug, but they know what they have done. Yeah, they know what they have done. They do live in denial, they try to suppress it, but it continues to exist inside of them. They are shame-based people who are doing everything they can to avoid reflecting on their shame. But by not dealing with it, that continues to perpetuate it. And you would know if they were dealing with it, because if they were, they would try to come back to make amends. Steady Pace says they throw you under the bus. Yeah, they do. I did a video titled that as well. The narcissist will throw you under the bus. And not only that, that's just the beginning. They could throw you under the bus and miraculously you may survive, and then you get back on the bus. You may even drive it, and you're driving it to your destination, things are going well for you, and then the narcissist shows up again and pops the tires. Is that not what it's like? Gazavelli says we are just avatars in their pea-brains. We really are. And not just for narcissists, this goes for most people in the world. If you really study the science behind it, and not just the psychological theories, but also the physics and the biology behind it as well. I was just watching a video last night, and it was shocking to see it. But no one is ever actually in the present moment. By the time that the light travels into your eyes, and then the electrical signals travel from your eyes to your brains and you process it, what you're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, it's in the past. You're never actually experiencing the present moment. There may be some ways to be more present, as I have been practicing myself throughout my life, such as meditation, maybe detoxes, and of course just any kind of healing activities. Because what really slows things down is when you're in a lower vibration. You want to be at a frequency of love where you're connected with everyone and everything, or at least everyone and everything that's of quite a high vibration, because if it's not, it's just going to pull you down. Narcissists, they want to make you think that they're these high vibrational beings, but then also they can make you feel worse. And that doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's some logic to it in a way, because I have explored the theories behind that as well. And what happens is, let's say that aliens landed on this planet and we interacted with them and they were of a very high vibration, what would happen is that first it would resurface our traumas and our shame. It would bring all of that up initially. And then if we're able to be vulnerable and we allow that to come up, we would then process it, and then we would then rise to a higher vibration. That doesn't happen with narcissists. The more that you let it in, the further down you go, the more miserable you feel. Because they're of a low vibration. They cannot make you feel better about yourself. They cannot make you feel good. They can only make you feel worse. They can only bring you down. I love it though when we get into aliens and psychological theories, physics. I love talking about that kind of stuff. Even though I'm not actually a scientist myself. I'm not a physicist, but I do have an interest in it. And of course we do have some great scientists, some great physicists from where I'm from in England, especially at Oxford University. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know I visited there myself. I actually drove for a few hours just to see what it's like. It's a very historical building. It's about 1,000 years old. There are a lot of good places in the UK to visit. There really are. I mean, that's why I've travelled pretty much the entire United Kingdom, other than maybe Brighton. I haven't been there. I wanted to go there as well though. I think there's a mosque there that I wanted to see in Brighton. That's the one place I didn't get to go yet. UK is a beautiful place, but I just don't like being in the cities because there's so many people, it's so busy, so chaotic. I like it when it's so peaceful, so calm. Calisthena says then we would never stop talking. I self-studied physics. That's so cool, you studied physics. Nice. I studied it in school, but I never really paid much attention other than when they were teaching cool stuff like the Big Bang and the Big Crunch. Although you don't hear so much about the Big Crunch anymore. That's not to say that it won't happen. But there's more other recent theories now. Barbara Mosley says, I'm a 68-year-old therapist and now a worldwide therapist. Praise my Heavenly Father God. That's amazing, Barbara. I think it's great to just devote our lives to serving other people, just improving this world, because I believe that that's what we came here to do. And I feel so good about myself when I know that I've made a difference in people's lives. It makes me feel so good about myself. Angela Nicoletti says, we have all experienced the same Dracula. Energy always sleeping vampires. Yeah, that's really what they are. I mean, and as I've mentioned before, that's actually how I found out about narcissistic abuse and narcissists. Initially, I typed in energy vampires on YouTube, and then that brought me to Sam Vaknin's videos, who at the time I didn't know is a self-aware narcissist and a proclaimed psychopath. I didn't know that at the time, of course, but if I never typed in energy vampires on YouTube, then I may not have found out about this information, or maybe I would have found out about it much later on. But that's really what they are. They just drain the life out of you. They drain all of your energy. They make you feel miserable about yourself. They make you feel like giving up on your life. They just suck the life out of you. And they leave you to become a shell of yourself. Steady Pace says, the covert narc reminded me of a caveman in so many ways. Yeah, they are like cavemen. I think in a past video I likened them to Captain Caveman. You know, it's like those, like cartoon, where the cavemen, they just beat each other on the head with clubs. That's what they're like. Stinky Bung Ho says, you have a Doppler twin in Vancouver, British Columbia. Like, I mean, twins. I don't know if that's a troll comment or not. But no, I am not American. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm actually from Wales, which is in the UK. But of course, a lot of British people, especially those on the West Coast, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, hundreds of years ago they emigrated to the US. And that's how we do have quite a lot of similarities. Lorraine Diane says Sam Vaknin is brilliant. The video about him talking about what it's like being a narcissist. I actually watched that video myself. If it was the one he posted just a few months ago. And I was watching it quite late at night. Not gonna lie, it was actually quite emotional watching it. I felt really bad for him. It kind of reminded me of my dad. And I know that these people do experience a lot of suffering, a lot of anxiety. And yeah, I won't lie, I do feel bad for them, of course. As an empath, I will have compassion for everyone. And it is very sad, but if you get too close to them, they will hurt you. Because they're hurts, and they can't change. Barbara Mosley says, I know people in Wales, UK that I help. We are scattered all in the world. You know, there is no more influence in this entire world than from British culture and the British Empire. I think at one point we ruled like 40% of the world. We colonized so many countries. And you can see the influences everywhere. Anyway, that's all I got to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. I really appreciate it, as it helps the YouTube algorithm to get this message out there, so that other survivors of narcissistic abuse will see it as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I read your comments every day. Hit subscribe, click all notifications, so that you will be notified when I go live in the future. If you would like to donate, I appreciate all donations, no matter how small. Just go to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. If you'd like to book a one-on-one, I am available for you. Just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Narc Survivor YouTube and Instagram. I just posted a few more reels today from my trip last year to Malaysia. Alright, I'm gonna get something to eat now. But I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And I look forward to speaking with you in another Narc Survivor Live video very soon.